So I'm back with another tutorial, this time little bit of tips for snares and how to maybe process them and equalize them or not equalize them. So let's see, first what we do is I take an audio channel because in snares I definitely prefer to use like recorded snares or layered snares instead of doing it with a synthesizer because the timbres are endless in recordings, and I have better results with manipulating audio instead of synthesizing that. Another way is just using white noise and making your snare out of that. That's very, very simple and sometimes very effective, and many artists do it and it's cool. But I show you today I show you today how to do it with a sample. And I got a request from somebody that asked to do a tutorial for noise poison style snares, but I regard that typical sound with the emphasis on certain mid-frequency range a little bit overused. So I think it's problematic to keep on overusing that, especially in not so good productions. So I first show you how to do it with any snare and any timbre, and it doesn't have to sound like noise poison. So first thing what we do, we choose a sample and adjust the volume a little bit so that it's not peaking over the bass line at first. So for me, for example, in this case, that already sounds very nice. I wouldn't do a lot of it because I like the original timbre of the sample so much, so why doing anything? And what I did also is like doing a little groove by making one snare a little bit shorter than the other one. Next thing what we do is check out the snare with an analyzer, or actually I don't really need to do that, I can do it without it, but let's see. Okay, it's has its main portion lies here, and just a little bit in the lows. That's why it's not even so distracting, but nevertheless you need to cut the low end. And 200 Hertz is sometimes enough. In other cases you just want a very much higher sounding snare to blend in with your hi-hats. Then you cut more, but the minimum I would suggest would be around 200 Hertz to just cut off that little low end portion. And 24 decibel per octave is enough because it doesn't have a lot. Even 12 decibel per octave would be enough in this case. In my ears that would be already ready. Of course, what you listen now here is like horrible quality because it's going out of my speakers and into the webcam that I'm recording with, so don't expect a very good quality. Here in my studio it's sounding very good, but you need to check it out in your own home studio to really have the results. Okay, next thing what we could think about is using distortion. There's one tool which is very old from Steinberg, Quadrafuzz. There's a second Quadrafuzz now, Quadrafuzz 2, but I heard from many people that it's not nice. I saw it and it's it's not as good as this one, many say, but okay. So what this does is it gives saturation to the signal. And yeah, what you can do is like take out some frequencies. This is the input level. With those bands here, you have 4 different bands, and putting that down puts the input level down. Over here you have a little equalizer. Okay, what I did now accidentally, not even by purpose, was like cutting a little bit of the end and putting the portion from 3 to 12,000 hertz, the input level, a little bit down. Okay, since the guy asked me for this, now this would be something like what I mentioned before, this a little bit overused snare. I guess there are many different ways. I've heard from producers that they achieve the same effect by just using equalizers, but this is one way of giving emphasis to basically any of the bands. This is just one example of that. And what I also did is like killing the lows. You don't have to do that. Yeah, so, okay. After you applied distortion, I wouldn't have done so much. I like it much more like this in this case. The timbre is much more fitting for me in this case, so I wouldn't use distortion. But okay, let's pretend we would decide to use this distortion, which I quickly did. Then I would maybe check again for to adjust that emphasis that I just did with the quadra fuzz. So a little ringing sound which was annoying to my ear, I took out. The rest of it I left in. That's pretty much it. Same as before, less equalizer is more. And later you have to check the whole thing with the drums, with the other drums and percussions that you are doing, and this will lead you to the next steps in equalization that you have to do or not to do. It's always better to don't do anything if it's not necessary, and only do something if there is a problem. So you need to train your ears to learn to identify those problems properly and not just mechanically doing stuff like really fast and not actually listening to what you're doing. Use your ears very wisely, and then you will achieve what you want. Okay, that's it for this tutorial.